All right, guys, so time for a midday market recap. Today is the first $10,000 winner of the year, 2017, finishing the day in my two accounts, up $247 in my SureTrader account and up $9,563 in my regular Speed Trader account. So this is a pretty good day, and the big win was on DFFN, an $11,000 $11,050.51 on DFNN. Now I traded both stocks, Cool and DFNN or DFFN, in both accounts. I traded this in my regular Speed Trader account, which started today at $28,138. Today I made 39% on that account. I'll open tomorrow just under $40,000. And then in my regular account, or my little small account, my SureTrader account, also traded Cool and DFFN, same two stocks. I made $307 before commissions and $247 after, and with a $1354 starting balance. That was my starting equity. So, not bad. This is the best day of the year in both accounts. So it's really not bad. It's really good. But there's a part of me that's a little disappointed. So let's talk about why I'm disappointed about a $10,000 day. Couple reasons. Number one, I started today planning on being aggressive in my small SureTrader account. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to trade the SureTrader account. I wanted to be aggressive there. I opened it up and I only had 2 times buying power. It was showing the same equity balance of yesterday, which was $1,200, and it was showing my margin is only being ×2. So I only had 2,400 in buying power. And I was like, this is annoying. What's going on here? A couple people in the chat room said they were also having issues. So I emailed SureTrader. I put in a support ticket. I said, look, can you update my buying power? Something's not right. And they got back to me at 9:36 or 9:40. So, I missed the first trade of the day in that small account. The first 10 minutes I basically couldn't trade because I didn't have buying power to take these positions. And it was during that time that I took the $11,000 winner on DFFN. Okay, so what I'm disappointed about is the fact that I would have really loved to have had that trade in my small account, because that would have been the opportunity, even with only 500 shares, to make $2,000, $2,500. That would have been awesome. That would have been the trade I need to give me that big boost, that big jump start. And, I couldn't. It is what it is. This is part of the deal with trading. Sometimes you lose internet connection in the middle of a trade and something goes wrong. Sometimes you're on vacation or you've got a doctor's appointment on the day when you've got the best momentum of the year. And it's the luck of the draw. There's not a lot you can do about it. It's just a little disappointing. So my first trade on DFFN, I'll show you guys the scanner here. Now this was on our watch list pre-market. So why was it on the watch list pre-market? Well, DFFN was gapping up this morning. It was gapping up and it had a low float. So for that reason, it was a stock that we had on the radar, watching it long over $8. Now, I'll show you the pre-market chart here for those of you that are live streaming. So this is the pre-market chart, high of $7.99, $8. And you can see how we had this sort of flat top here. We tapped it once, we tapped it a second time. So I had this on the watch list and I said I like it for a long over 8. And yesterday, this thing squeezed from $2 on the daily chart, from $2 all the way up to $5.73, continuing this morning with the gap up. So this was on radar. Now, there were a couple of other stocks that were also on my radar. And my concern with this one was just that there wasn't a lot of volume. And, that's true. The market opened and it squeezed in basically one candle from, let's see, let me pull this back. We squeezed right here from 725 all the way up to 850. And that's when it started hitting the high day scanner right here. It hit the high day scanner at 748, 764, $8, 850, 891. 872, and then $9. So as I saw it hitting the scan, I looked at that and I was like, okay, yep, this is something I want to jump on. I put out my order and I bought 2,000 shares at $9. Just nice, easy little order, 2,000 shares at $5. Hang on one second. Here's someone knocking on my door, but whatever. So 2,000 shares at $9, and it squeezes up to 942 right here, 942, and then it gets halted on a circuit breaker. So it's a volatility circuit breaker. It moved too much in the first for the first few minutes. Now, what I didn't expect is that it would open at a high of $15. That is ridiculous. I was saying in the room, look, guys, I like it for long over 950. If it opens maybe a little lower, maybe it opens around 9, I don't know, 935, 940. I'll jump in for the break of 950. I was not expecting that it would open at $15. I mean, not even close to expecting that. I've seen this happen a couple of times, but I wasn't expecting it. So it pops up to a high of 15. On the ask, we had $15, but then down on the bid, it was like $12.50. So what did I do? I used dark pool routing. I put out an order with dark pool routing to sell at $14.98. So $14.98, and I sold 1,783 shares, right up at $14.98. I sold almost my whole position, and boom, I was up $10,000. Wow, that was crazy fast. That was incredible. First big win of the year, and really it was just capitalizing on the opportunity there. It was a stock on the high day Momo scanner. It had potential, and I jumped in. I bought it high, and it went higher. And that's what I do a lot of times with these stocks, is I know I'm chasing them a little bit. That's why I took 2,000 shares instead of 5,000 or 8,000. I reduced my share size, and it just ended up being a home run trade. So, solid, super solid there. I sold the rest on the way back down. So $11,050 on that one. And then as it started to curl back up, this first candle to make a new high, I jumped in my SureTrader account. By this time, they'd reset my account. So I'm like, okay, now I can take a trade. So I jumped in with 200 shares, and I made about 65 cents. So $136. And I did that on the first pullback, which was right here. So I got in right here, and then rode that up to the high, up through the highs. So, that's why I've got the $136 on DFFN in my SureTrader account, buying the first pullback with 200 shares, and the $11,000 in my regular account for the first breakout. So that was obviously really nice. The next trade was Cool. Now on Cool, I'm down just under $1,400 in my regular account, and I'm up 170 in my small account. All right, so how did I trade Cool? Well, Cool also came up on the high day Momo scanner. Popped up on the high day Momo scanner, and I saw it, and I thought, okay, it looks good. It looks pretty good on the daily. Now, the thing is, for some reason, when I saw it, I didn't quite realize how close the 200 moving average was. And I'll show you guys right here. We came up, see how we tapped that purple line right here? We came right up, we tapped that line at 415 and pulled back. That's resistance. That moving average formed resistance. So I bought at 389. I got in right up here at 389 when it was squeezing off the scanner, bought off the scanner alert, thinking the same thing. Maybe this will go to 4. Who knows? Maybe 450, maybe higher, but at least to 4. It pops up from 389, and then it kind of stalled out for a second. Now, I got in with both accounts. I took about 2,000 shares in my small account, and I took 10,000 in my regular account. In my small account, I've been in the habit of immediately putting out an order to sell when I'm up 10 cents. So I did that. I put out the order, and that was an order at 398. So just under the ask. It was actually like 8 cents or something like 8.5 cents. And with the regular account, I was holding the full position. It did spike up, and it spiked up through a high of 409. So my small account, I got taken out. sold, took the profit, 170 bucks. And my big account, I was still holding the 10,000 share position. I tried to scale out, but I really wasn't able to. It pulled back to a low here um, of 360. So, on that one, I lost 1,400 bucks, 14 cents on 10,000 shares. I was being aggressive. I thought that we would see continuation on it, and I was wrong. So, a little bit of a loss on that one, and that brought my account down just a little bit. So $9,500 in my speed trader account and 247 in my sure trader account. But for both accounts, this is the biggest day of the year so far. And tomorrow I'll open closer to $1,600 in my sure trader account. So, the account is growing. Right now I think it's up about 190%, something like that. And my speed trader account's up 40% today. So it's nice to get that big win early in the year. I'm just, a little bummed out that it didn't happen in the sure trader account. And the thing is, even that 60-cent winner on DFFN was only 130 bucks, and my commissions were $50 today. So commissions continue to be a fairly large, disproportionate amount of my profits because I can't take big size. And I usually wouldn't take 200 shares, but I decided to on this one because I was like, well, I might as well just jump in. It has the potential over 15. Maybe it'll squeeze to 16, 17, get halted again, and open at 22. Back of my mind target. Who knows? That didn't happen. If it had happened, maybe I would have gotten 1,000 bucks out of it. Now, if I had gotten in DFFN in my sure trader account at $9, I wouldn't have been able to take 1,000 shares because I don't have the buying power. Even if I had the buying power, it would have been a lot of risk. So I probably would have taken 400 or maybe 500. But the thing is, if I took 500 shares and it dropped 50 cents, I would have had my first loss in that account, and it would be, a pretty big loss percentage-wise. So I'm now on my 15th and 16th, I believe it's 16th consecutive winning trade in the sure trader account. Now, accuracy is pretty high right now, 100% on 16 trades, which is solid, but it's because I'm taking 10-cent profit, 15-cent profit when I have it. And basically, as soon as I get into a trade, I have a 10-cent stop. So I know my max risk is 10 cents on almost any trade that is, a normal $3 to $5 stock. DFFN was a little bit bigger, but that's why I had 200 shares. But cool, with 10-cent stop. And as soon as it pops up 10 cents, I sell half, adjust my stop to break even. If I get stopped out break even, I'm out. On some of them, I just sell the whole thing up 10 cents, depending on how strong it seems, whether or not we're seeing the volume that I like. Have to play it by ear and make those decisions fairly quickly. I think this is that area where intuition helps for sure. I mean, I've been trading for a long time, so I can look at these setups and pretty quickly know whether or not it's going to work, whether it's going to be a big winner or at best break even. And when it's going to be at best break even, I try to get out as quick as I can. I lost 14 cents on Cool, which really isn't that bad considering it dropped about, let's see, on this pullback here, it dropped about 40 cents. So, I minimized my loss, and that's what you have to do. So an $11,000 winner and then a $1,300 loss. So, it's a big step forward, 10 steps forward, one step back. I can handle that. That's within my parameter of acceptable risk. But, with the small account, everything is scaled down. So, I would love to get a trade that I can jump on full size and get that 30, 40, 50 cent squeeze, but it just hasn't happened yet. And it could have happened today on DFFN, but just technical error kept me out of that first trade in that account, so it didn't. But you know what? It's also nice to get, $9,500 of profit in my regular account, especially this early in the year, because that helps me get that big buffer. Help get me that cushion between red on the year or break even and being in the profit zone. So that's kind of where I'm at now. we're in the lunch hour, so I'm done trading on the day. So today will go down in the books as $247 in Sure Trader and $9,500 in Speed Trader. Green day, good day. Day 6 of the small account challenge, up about 190% from my starting balance of $583. So I started this account a week ago today, actually. A week ago today was the first day I traded in it. And in 1 week, I've gone from $583 to just under $1,600. So that's pretty good. $1,000 in a week. That's $52,000 a year. So is it possible to make $52,000 a year with an extra $500 from a $500 starting balance? Well, if I can do it this week, if I can make almost $1,000 in the last 5-6 days with this small of account, I know as my account grows, it'll be easier to make money. So I think it definitely is possible. All right. So I'll answer some questions for those of you watching on Facebook. I'll make sure I answer questions. Now, as I've mentioned, I turn all of these recaps into a podcast that you guys can listen to. And of course, feel free to subscribe. You can find it on the iTunes store if you go and search for Warrior Trading. Day 5 is up there, and I'll upload day 6 here in just a little bit. Okay, so ETRM, yeah, let me answer that question. Hey, Joe, what's up? I see your question there too. I'll answer that one as well. So ETRM, this one for me is, it's hard. It's a hard stock to trade. It's not one that I'm particularly interested in. In total, I've lost money on it. I've traded it several times, and I get faked out every time. I mean, it's just not been an easy one for me to trade. And we've seen stocks like this in the past where, stocks have made really big moves, but during that move, it was never that easy to trade for whatever reason. It's, what I was showing yesterday, how it broke over $15 by 20 cents and then dropped a point and then ran. I mean, it's like, even with 500 shares, you're down $500. It just makes it very, very difficult. So, here we are today. The market opens, it squeezes up a couple points, and then it tanks from $25 all the way down to $16. Totally, wipes out people that are holding it long, and then it bounces, and now it's squeezed back up towards $30. So it's like, these types of swings are they're really hard to trade. You have to be a very, very good trader, and you have to be really smart about how you size yourself, because if you take position sizes that are too big too early on, then you're going to hit your max loss. You're going to be out for the day. You can't buy into the squeezes. You've got to buy on the pullbacks, and it's a stock that's really fairly crowded. So when I talk about crowded, it's like all these traders are all trying to trade it. That tons and tons of traders are like, oh, this stock is going to come back down to $3. I'm just going to short it. Every time it spikes up, I'm going to short it. So every time it spikes up, you've got sellers, putting a ceiling on it. Squeezes up the ceiling. And then, you have people, whenever it drops down, you have buyers who are like, oh, I'm going to buy the pullback. So every time it dips, it gets bought right back up. And then you start getting this jumping, this up and down, and at certain points, one side wins and you get this squeeze up. So today, first the short sellers won and it dropped 8 points. And then the bullish traders, regained control and it squeezed up 10 points. But, during all of these moves, even right now, we've got a 40-cent spread. 40 cents. And that means if you got in right now on the ask, you're immediately down 40 cents. And then, of course, if it drops just a little bit, you're going to be down easily 80 cents because it drops fast. So, you get in, you're already down 40 cents. If it drops just a second, you're going to be down another 40 cents. You're down almost $1 per share. 1,000 shares, you're down $1,000 like that. And I was showing you yesterday how students trading in the simulator were just getting hammered on this one because they're getting in at the wrong places. They were being overly aggressive. And when you do that, you end up really getting yourself into some trouble. So let's see if I can pull up some of their trades here and we can take a look. I had one student who was shorting ETRM yesterday, and she lost like $40,000 in the simulator. And she didn't start with a huge position, but she did what a lot of traders do, which is take an initial position and then, well, it's not working, I'll add a little bit. It's not working, I'll add a little bit more. Next thing you know, it's squeezing up, and it happens fast. And this is the thing, a lot of short. This is the type of stock that a lot of short sellers can really get crushed on, and that's also true with DFFN. There's a lot of people who will look at these high day scanners and they're like, oh, stock's hitting the high day scanner, I'm just going to short it. And that works and works and works until it doesn't, and you get in the stock and it suddenly squeezes up 100% and you're short. When that happens, it only needs to happen one time to blow you up. And that's why that strategy of shorting stocks or squeezing up is really risky. I mean, yes, these will come back down. And look at DRYS. This is a stock that literally went from $4 a share to over $100 a share and is now back down at $2. Okay, so here you go. Huge move up and then all the way back down. Now, if you shorted this right here and you said, well, look, this thing's going to come back down. Yeah, you were right, shorting it at 21. But could you have held through the spike to 100 before it came back down? And the answer is usually no. And if you did, your risk management is horrible, right? No one should be holding through a 80-point move against you. You can't do that. You can't make a living doing those types of things. Trading is a marathon. Every single day we come out here, we need to get a little bit of a lead. We need to play smart, and that means really respecting the risk. We have to respect the risk. So today's one of those days where I think I traded pretty smart. I think I traded pretty smart. I'm up almost $10,000 between my two accounts. So overall, a pretty solid day. Biggest winner, Lancelot on ETRM. So he took a trade on ETRM, did pretty well on it. Dennis, these guys are trading ETRM. He's got $12,000 on it. Let's see, Matthew. He's got a lot of names he traded. ETRM, XGTI, a couple others. So, the cool thing about the simulator is that I can log in and see what you guys are trading. ETRM. So, biggest winners are ETRM. Well, let's see what the biggest losses are. $23,000, Louise, ETRM. So that's, that's not a good trade. $20,000, Cami, ETRM. So you can see that this is a stock that when you trade it, you're going in either for a big win or potentially a big loss. ETRM, $14,000 loss, and that's what we notice. I mean, a lot of the folks that trade these stocks, they're either getting huge winners or huge losers. And for me right now, trading in the small account, I can't afford that. I need small, consistent gains. I need 16 consecutive winners as I'm starting this account. That's what's going to help me build up the account, build up my buying power, and really get myself into the driver's seat. It's just one trade at a time, slow and steady. So a lot of times when we see these stocks that are parabolic, like DRYS or ETRM or any of the others that we've seen, I'll trade them on the first day, usually the first day, and sometimes I trade them on the second day. But then I usually say, all right, I'm going to take my money and step out of this one and just wait for the next one. So that means I need to do really, really well in the first 2 days. It's usually the first 2 days that are the cleanest. The day one is always the best. Day two, I mean, sometimes day two is better, but usually day one and day two, that's the best time to get in. That's when I go in and try to make, $10,000, $11,000 on the name, and then I don't need to mess around with it for the next 4 or 5 days when people are scrambling trying to get a piece of the action. A lot of the people that end up scrambling trying to get a piece of the action are people who missed the move on day one and are now sort of like, they've got that fear of missing out, and so they're over trading it. They're like, oh, I want to get a piece of this, I got to trade it, and that's what ends up happening. Now, Joe, to answer your question about dark pool routing, so in Speed Trader, you can select your routes. All right, so if we think of the market as an island, let's just think of it as an island here. And around the island, you've got all of these different docks. It's like little harbors. So this is the market. This is the bid, the ask. You've got your level 2 here. Well, there's a lot of ways you can get into the market. You can take different routes, and these routes are all listed. I'll show you guys the list here for those of you streaming um, on Facebook. I can click here, and these are all the different routes that I can use. So you can see here, there's a pretty good list of routes. Those are all the different ports or different docks around the island that I can connect up to. And you can see here, each of these listed on the level 2, NASDAQ, BATS, ARCA, EDGX, those are all the ports. All right, for those of you watching on screen share in the chat room, you can see here, these are all of those different docks. And you can choose to route directly to Edge. I can say I want to route directly to this guy, or I want to route directly to PSE or BATS or whatever. Now, since you see that Edge has 3,000 shares or 30,000 shares, whatever, you could say, okay, I want to send my order right to this guy, and that's fine. But you know what? If you send your order to ARCA, and ARCA doesn't have a share here, he's just going to reroute your order over to Edge. And rerouting happens so fast that you almost don't even notice it. I mean, it's incredibly fast. So yes, it's probably a little bit quicker if you go ahead and direct route to whichever market maker is showing shares, but I personally don't do that. I just go and use whatever default route I want, maybe that I'm using for the day, and send my orders through that. Now sometimes on SureTrader or SpeedTrader, they'll say, hey, route away from this port, they're down, it's not working. So you just say, okay, I'm not going to use that one, I'm going to go ahead and use a different one. Now you've got all these different ones, and the most popular, ARCA, NASDAQ, NYSE, EDGX, and BATS. Those are some of the most popular, but there's a lot of them. JPCC, ITGI, INET, HPPO, and then the other thing is that what brokers will sometimes do is before they even send your order out to here, they want to check to see if someone inside their own pool of shares is holding a position. If they're holding shares internally, then they'll route internally first, and if they've got shares, they'll give it to you immediately. If not, they route out to the main exchange, I guess, as it is. So I always direct route. I don't do internal routing. I don't use the smart routing by my broker. I instead direct route. Now, something that's really cool with Lightspeed is that you can send an order using smart routing to specifically route to 3 different ECNs at the same time. So you can route your order to NYSE, to NASDAQ, and to ARCA, and whoever comes back first with shares, that's where you're getting filled. And sometimes you're getting filled a little bit of all of them, and you get really odd looking fills. Like instead of getting in at 305, you're in at 305, 743. Like it's really a long kind of odd fill, but it gets you filled pretty fast. It is also more expensive. So I don't use that, and I'm not trading in Lightspeed right now, but that's something worth acknowledging. Now, whenever you send an order, if you send an order through ARCA, they're going to go and ping. If they don't have the shares at their port, they'll go and check Edge. They'll go and check BATS. They'll see, okay, who's got shares, who's got shares. Oh, you've got shares, I'm going to grab them, send them back to this guy. However, there are ports or institutional traders, institutions that have shares, but they're not being displayed. They're not actively visible when the market makers are trying to ping. So that's why they're almost like a dock that's in the fog. It's there, but you can't really see it, and that's why you use the dark pool routing. And it's really only helpful on stocks when you've got low volume and you've got big size and you want to try to piece out of it. So a stock like DFFN, where you've got a $1.50 spread, all of a sudden just squeezed up 8 points or whatever it is, you want to try to see, is there a buyer somewhere? And that's what you can do. You can, because you may have in the dark pool a buyer sitting there wanting to buy 2,000 shares at $15, but because he's in the cloud and when you send through ARCA, you're not hitting that guy, you don't get that liquidity. And that's a disadvantage for retail traders. And that's why dark pool routing is becoming more popular, because it creates more liquidity. It now allowed me to get an exit from this person that was sitting there, with size, and I was able to get out at 15. So I don't use that. It's for me on my hotkeys, Control D. I don't use it a lot, but I will use it if I have 10,000, 15,000 shares. I'll see, is there a buyer in here in between the spread? And sometimes I put out an order in between the spread and it gets filled right away. And that's the advantage. You got a better fill than if you had just sent a market order. Doesn't always work, but on a stock that just made a crazy move, it's definitely worth a try, because when it works, it definitely saves you or gives you more profit, and so that's a win. So on Speed Trader, a couple of their routes that do dark pool routing: XDark, XDRC, and the other one is CUTP. So you can route with either of those guys. And they might have some others. You can go on their website and check. But in any case, that's something I can only do with Speed Trader. Sure Trader doesn't allow that type of routing, which, again, is a bit of a disadvantage to trading with Sure Trader. There are several disadvantages. But like Mike said this morning to someone who asked, someone said, hey, is it even worth trading at Sure Trader? You've got to pay $125 a month for platform fees. Your commissions are $5 a trade. You can't do direct routing. Is it even worth it? And he said, well, you got to pay to play. If you want to trade somewhere with as little as $500, there's nowhere else you can trade. And, your options are limited. And so if that's something that you want to do, well, Sure Trader's where you're going to trade. And that's why I'm trading there. It's the only place I can trade with that small amount of money and still day trade. So it is what it is. You do have to be smart. You have to make sure you're really diligent about only taking A quality setups, knowing that, like I said yesterday, if you make $50, well, you've got to subtract 15 for commissions. So you really only made 35. And if you lose 50, you've got to add 15 for commission. So you actually lost 65. And now you have a negative profit loss ratio where your break-even point becomes 66% success. It makes it that much more difficult to be successful. So yes, is it easier if you have $25,000? It is, because you can trade at Speed Trader. Your commissions are lower. You've got more routing options, and you can take larger size right away, so commissions aren't going to be such a big percentage of your profits. But the good news is that if you can build up a small account, if you can make it with $500, you can make it with any amount. I mean, that's really the thing. So it's good training. It really conditions you to be really smart about every trade you take and to manage your risk well, because you have to. It's what you have to do in order to grow a small account. Once my account gets a little bit bigger, I'll be able to start being more aggressive. And and this is another one of those days where if this Sure Trader account was up at $4,000 or $5,000, I would have been able to take $1,000 of DFFN, 1,000 shares, and make $6,000, and double my account in one day. So I think that the growth on my account is kind of going to look like slow starting out. Fortunately, I didn't go into the red the way I did last year. It's just sort of slow starting out. And then as I build up buying power, because buying power increases times 6 with every dollar I make, it's going to go up, 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 and hopefully I'll start to see that real, that faster growth, account growth. We'll see. But where we stand this week is that I've got about $1,600 in equity. My goal for the end of the week was to make $1,000, which means I need to make another 600. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. $600 between Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's $200 a day after commissions. If I don't get there, I don't get there, but I think I've got a good shot at it, and my buying power is going up. I now have about $9,400 in buying power, so I can take slightly larger positions. I could take now 3,000 shares of a $3 stock if I wanted to. But of course, if I lose 20 cents, I'm going to drop right back down. I mean, literally, if I lose 20 cents on 3,000 shares, I'm going to go right back down to a $700 account, and I can't afford that. So still have to be smart, and we'll just see how it goes. So let's see. Any other questions that you guys have as you're as you're watching. SureTrader, I can't remember if they send a statement for taxes. I mean, they definitely give you your end of year statement, and you need to bring that, H&R Block, however you do your taxes, to an accountant, and they'll take care of it for you. I don't think they send you like a 1099 the way, E-Trade would, but you do get a statement at the end of the year. All right, so let's see. Let me scroll up and look at the questions that you guys have. So Don, like I said before, the reason I chose SureTrader is because of the fact that it's the only place that will allow me to trade with $500. Nowhere else is going to let me do that. So, because I'm limited with this small account, it's just going to be where I trade for a while. Will, can you tell when a stock is going to be halted before it happens? Okay. Yes, you can in a way. Right before a stock, well, there's a couple ways. One, you know that stocks typically get halted when they squeeze up 10% within a 5-minute window. Now, we've got a pretty long video on YouTube about circuit breaker halts because there's a lot of variables. When it needs to move 10% in 5 minutes, but that's versus a reference point, and the reference point updates every minute. So it's always versus the previous 1-minute reference point. So, just because a stock in 5 minutes went up 10% doesn't mean it's actually going to get a circuit breaker halt. It really has to do it within a shorter period of time. The circuit breaker halts are also, the thresholds are looser at the open in the first 15 minutes because that's when stocks are the most volatile. So to accommodate that volatility, the circuit breaker halts, the thresholds are a little bit looser. All right, so now when you're in a stock and you see that it just squeezed up, what'll sometimes happen is the level 2 gets pinned. Just like it gets pinned, and you're seeing a lot of orders going through, but the actual level 2 isn't changing. That is an indicator that the stock may be about to get halted. Now, when a stock crosses the threshold, it'll trade over that threshold for 15 seconds. And if it continues to trade for 15 seconds over that threshold, that's when you get the circuit breaker halt. If it drops back below within the normal trading range, we won't get a halt. So right in that moment, you have a chance sometimes to sell. You sort of have 15 seconds where you can go ahead and hit the sell button, and you can sometimes get out right at the current price, or you can buy right at the current price. And I've done both. There are times where I'm like, okay, I don't want to hold through the circuit breaker, I'm going to sell. And other times where I'm like, this is squeezing up on really good news, I want to add because it's going to almost definitely open higher. So I've done both. And you can see it on the level 2, but you have to have level 2 in order to see that. Now, Spencer, your question about using a trailing stop on a stock like ETRM, you can do that. The thing is, it's a very different strategy because if you put a trailing stop below your moving average, your stop is almost literally going to be several points away. Like your stop is like 2 points away. So you're getting in at 24 with a stop at 22. You could do that with 200 shares. You're only risking $400. Put that trailing stop of 2 points and let it ride. But you also know that it's not going to stop you out until it's pulled back 2 full points. So, it needs to go up to 30 for you to lock in profit at 28. So you're always trailing behind. And that's fine, but the problem with that is if you don't trade that on the right type of setups, your losses just are going to be too big, and you're going to have a negative profit-loss ratio. I prefer to get in at an apex point, a point where I expect a stock to break out. I get in at that point with a very tight stop below the apex, and then I can ride that momentum, and it pops right away. That can be just a little bit more difficult with stocks like ETRM because of the fake outs. So that's the reason I don't seem to have as much luck with that. James, you say you can only trade after 10 a.m. And that's fine. I mean, I trade from 9:30 to 11:30, but you can trade at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. to 11:30. That's okay. Yeah, the first half hour it would be nice if you could trade during that time frame, but if you can't, that's okay too. And Michael, yeah, I was looking at SGNL, but I just wasn't sure about that one. It just is trading on such light volume at this time of day. I didn't know if it was going to give us a clean breakout. So I decided just to skip it, and better be safe than sorry. All right, let's see. And yes, Fancy Stock Traders, the simulator has real-time level 2 data. So, that's one of the nice things about this platform is that you're getting the same exact quotes, that I'm getting in my live trading account. So you can trade side by side with me. You can trade the same stocks I'm trading each morning, just for the sake of practicing. And you're getting, almost the exact same quotes. I mean, they really should be the same, but sometimes even between speed trader and sure trader, you can see some slight differences, but usually pretty close. All right, guys. So with that, I think we'll wrap up this recap. So this is the day 6 of the small account challenge, finishing up $247 in the small account, and day 6 of the trading year with my first winner that exceeded $10,000. So finishing the day up $9,563 in my speed trader account. So overall, a good day. And I know a lot of traders say that, Ross, you make this look easy. And the thing is, it really is easy once you learn how. It's like riding a bike. It's just that it's hard to learn. It takes a long time to learn. It's harder to learn how to do this than it is to learn how to ride a bike. It took me 18 months to learn how to do this. I think I learned how to ride a bike pretty quickly. So, it's like, I don't know, maybe you got to think of something else that's a little harder to learn how to do. But, once you get it, you've got it. And I sit down every morning, I do the same thing. I've got the same process. I look for the same stocks. I build my watch list the same way. Some days we've got awesome setups and I have a great winner like today. Other days are slow and I'm like yesterday, I made 135 or whatever, 140 in my sure trader and I lost 130 in speed trader. But I didn't get beaten up about it. It was like, it doesn't matter because I know right around the corner there will be another, great opportunity for a big winner. And, today was the day. So definitely pumped about that. And hopefully we can continue the week strong, keep the momentum going. 16 consecutive green trades in sure trader. I know I'm statistically due for a loss, right? Inevitably. I mean, I can't be red forever or green forever. So I have to kind of keep that in mind that it's like, just I can only go for so long before there's going to be red trade. So just anticipating that and trying to be extra careful about what I trade during the next few days. Continue to build the cushion, minimal risk, and hopefully I'll be able to get this account over $2,000 by the end of the week. All right, guys, so that's it for me. I hope you guys all have a good afternoon, and I will catch up with you first thing tomorrow morning. All right, bye, guys. Yeah, Jonah, so there's no delay in the simulator.
Let's be honest. If you made it this far, you must have really enjoyed that video. So what's stopping you? Subscribe right here and get email alerts anytime I upload new content. Until then, happy surfing!